Hello everyone and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. This video is going to be 5 ways to be a better role player, to improve your role playing at the table. I've done two 5 ways videos in the past, 5 ways to improve your game and 5 ways to be a better player. The 5 ways to be a better player was more about how to have a better time at the table, how to improve the way that you interact with people at the table, how you come to the game. But this is going to be more, how do you get into the game? How do you embody your character? How do you have more fun? How do you make D&D and tabletop more than just a game? And I'm going to give you 5 easy ways to do that today. The first tip I'm going to give is to get over the weirdness. I think roleplay is an inherently strange thing, especially if you've never done it before. And I know, for me, I started role-playing games at a very young age, at a time where I didn't really think about character as much as I thought about creating a cool sort of adventurer. You know, I was more into, I want to create a guy who can, who's really good with a sword. And since then, obviously, I've started enjoying more of the roleplay aspects, the creating an interesting character, the process of crafting that character's life and backstory and personality, and then throughout the course of the game, discovering who they are. So I think the first really necessary step is to get over the weirdness. You need to realize that everybody at the table is there to have a good time. And ideally, no one is there to make you feel weird about your role play. I have received comments and messages before about people that are saying that, I really try to get into character at the table. I'll try to do like a different voice, or I'll try to speak as my character would speak. And there are people at the table that are making me feel weird about it. If that's the case, you need to leave your group, man. That's lame, and there are lame people in your group. If you're in a group of good people, of good role players, of people that are there to have fun and ensure that everybody else at the table is having fun, then I guarantee you just need to get over the weirdness of role-playing and just go for it. Have a voice for your character. Not necessarily a funny voice, but think about how your character speaks. Your character's not going to speak the same way that you are most of the time, unless you're just playing a Mary Sue character, but your character is not going to move the same way. Your character is not going to react to things the same way. So try and just, once you get over that hurdle of, this is inherently weird, this is a weird thing that we're doing, but damn is it fun, I guarantee you're going to be a better role player and you're going to have more fun at the table because of it. The second tip I can give you is have a past. Now, when I say have a past, I don't mean write a novel of your character's backstory. You don't need to know what your character has been doing from the time they were born up until now. But what I like to do is have a handful of scenes. Just a couple of events, a couple of secrets that your character is harboring. Just 2 or 3 concrete things that you know that have happened to your character, that your character has experienced, that can inform the way that they react to things, inform their point of view. For example, the current character that I'm playing is a druid named Vald, who grew up in the swamp. I know for a fact that in his past, he was a human who was orphaned in an elf raid, and then taken in by those elves and raised as one of them. I know in his past that of a couple of events that inform the way that I play him. For instance, he specializes in spiders. He's a spider tamer. But when he was young, he got a little overzealous, and a spider bit him in the leg. And they managed to save the leg, but the effects of the poison partially kind of rotted away part of his leg, and he has a limp. So at once I have something physical about my character that sets him apart from other characters. He's got this physical limitation as a result of something that he did. And because of that, he has a real reverence for nature. He respects it. He knows how dangerous nature is. And therefore, he has respect and a little bit of fear of it. So that is a way that I can inform how my character reacts to things based on things that he's experienced in his life. So again, you don't need to go overboard with this. You don't need to sit there and go, at age 2, blah, 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 at age 3, blah, blah, blah. But think about 2 or 3 things that your character has experienced before they were rolled up that would, you know, affect them as a person. The next tip I can give is think physically, and this is including voice, mannerisms, expressions. Think about how your character looks physically and attempt to embody that. And I'm not saying come dressed up. That's cool if you do that, but that for me is a little bit too much. I don't tend to dress up or anything, but although I was playing a character with an eye patch one time, and I did wear an eye patch, but that's a different story. But I like to develop a voice for all of my characters, and for me, what works is I'm not good at impressions, but I'm decent at mimicking people's voices. I will find an actor or a character that I think has a voice that fits my character, and I will try to mimic that. And it will be rocky at first because I'm not used to simply speaking in that voice. I'm used to mimicking the lines. But eventually I'll fall into a pattern with it, and it will take on a life of its own and become its own voice. And this has happened with all of my characters. I had a character named Ram who had a Russian accent, and when he first started speaking, he sounded a lot like the battlecruiser captain from StarCraft, you know, battle cruiser, operational. But eventually it became more of a softer kind of, almost like a Chekhov type voice, where it was not as Russian-y, but just simply tinged with this kind of accent. And it became very indicative of him and his character, and really helped me get into his frame of mind. It was like, if I was talking like this, I was thinking like Ram. I was able to put myself in his shoes and act as he would. And then there's Vald, my current character, who simply speaks very quietly and with kind of a harsh cadence to his voice. And, you know, at first it was a little bit Batman, you know, you're in my swamp, what are you doing in my swamp? But now it's taken on more of kind of it's become more subdued, much like the Ram voice, and it's much easier to simply slip into it and be able to do this voice without much trouble. So think about voices. But if you're not into accents, if you're not into doing voices, there's a very easy way to simply affect the way that you speak, the cadence that you speak, the speed at which you speak, the words that you use. This is easy to do as well. I have a friend, Jess, who is playing a gnome, and her gnome is incredibly inquisitive and curious. And instead of doing a voice for her gnome, instead of changing her voice, she simply changes the way she speaks. She just kind of sounds very excited all of the time, and oh, that's fascinating there. And I had a question about what you did there, and you know, it's just kind of the she doesn't change her voice. She still sounds like her, but the way that she speaks, the way that she presents herself, is as her character. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And also, don't discount mannerisms and expressions. Sometimes at the table, if I'm feeling really in character and I'm not actively participating, I will still kind of sit as my character and kind of try to embody that character physically, even if I'm not, you know, acting like him. For me, I imagine myself as him in that situation. I put myself in that mindset, and physically, I make myself feel like that character. So don't discount mannerisms, don't discount expressions in your face, turns of phrase, you know, certain eccentricities in the way that they speak, mannerisms, cadences, you know, all that sort of thing, the lilt of your voice. Think about how this character physically exists, and try your best to embody that. And start simple. Start with one thing. Start with a voice. Start with a stutter. Start with you know, they're very shy, so they kind of look down and fidget a lot when they talk. Things like that, you know, very easy to do. The next tip is describe your actions. And I find that sometimes you fall into the trap of roll the dice, what happens? Roll the dice, what happens? Roll the dice, what happens? Try to get yourself in the habit of rolling the dice while describing what you're doing. Because there is the physical, in our world, physical act of rolling the dice to accomplish something within the game, but what does that look like in the game? Think about this for skill checks, for combat, for spells, for anything that you're doing. Think about what it physically looks like in the game world, and what specifically it looks like for your character. So, for instance, we have a character in our party, Vald, and a character in our party, Mother Gamble, who is a witch. Both of us have heal. Both of us have very good heal skills, but the way that we roleplay them is completely different. And that sets it apart. So for instance, with Vald, and I'm gonna use Vald as an example for all of these because I think examples are very helpful. Vald is from the swamp, he's a druid. When he uses his heal, he is using, think like hippie remedies like dirt and moss and grass and oils and mud and leaves, you know, like he'll come up, if you're bleeding, he'll come up and cauterize the wound and pack dirt on it, you know, like some nutrient-rich dirt, and slap a leaf on it for a bandage, you know, something like, it's completely different. If you're sick, you know, he'll leech you, you know, stuff like that. His heal check looks completely different. If you're a rogue and you're going up to disable a trap, don't just roll to disable the trap. Describe your rogue bending down and mopping the sweat from his brow as he works, and you know, kind of, you know, describe him sort of like making sure that, you know, he keeps the weight even on the pressure plate and stuff like that. And describe your actions in combat. Just don't say I'm going to move here and hit him with my sword. Say I wade through the combat. You know, I'm kind of shifting to kind of keep out of the you know, the ranges of these guys, and I close the distance between myself and the goblin. And I raise my sword and bring it down on him. You know, stuff like that. That's much more exciting for you and for everybody at the table. And it's also going to be able to give you the unique opportunity to set your character apart in something that is very mechanical, like combat. Combat can still be cinematic. Combat can still be in character. Don't think that combat is simply a video game, you know? All right, the last tip I'm going to give you is have goals. And this sort of ties in with the backstory aspect. Have like 1 or 2 things in mind that your character is striving towards, because that is going to give you so much motivation for your character and allow you to know how they would react to situations based on what they want. What does your character want in life? Do they want a specific item? Do they want to learn a specific language? Do they want to find out something specific about a culture? Do they want to find their parents? Do they want to take revenge? Do they want to find out who their sister is? Do they want to bring down an empire? You know, like, have some goals for your character, because that will make it so much easier for, if a situation comes up, you don't have to think, how did my character react to the situation? You can think, based on what my character wants, what is the right course of action here? And it will also give your character a context in the party, because you know, even though you're in a party of people that are all, you know, questing towards the same goal, all adventuring in the same place, doing the same missions, you can want those things for different reasons, and you can want different things than your party members. So keep that in mind. In addition to the, you know, 2 or 3 things that you can use to inform your character based on their backstory, you can have 2 or 3 things that your character is working towards, and that will make them a real joy to play. And also, if they achieve those goals, that's just fantastic. That's what we like to call an arc. So keep that in mind. So there are, of course, many, many, many ways to improve yourself as a role player, but for me, these are 5 very easy ways to do it, especially if you are a beginner or are just sort of getting into serious role playing. Like I said before, role playing is inherently weird, and you have to get over the fact that you are sitting at a table pretending to be somebody. Don't think of it like that. This is... mankind, like, human beings love to do this. We play pretend as kids, and the only thing that says that we can't play pretend as adults is our other adults, is society. There is nothing wrong with coming to the table once a week and pretending to be somebody else, going on an adventure, doing things that you cannot do. So get over that weirdness and go have some fun with role-playing games. Take care, and happy gaming all.